Today we're going to be talking about the CIPer50, and what we're going to be looking at is the display that comes on one model of the CIPer50 or the display that you can buy separately. And I have a picture of it here I can put up to show you guys. Give me a minute. Let me share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see.
Okay. So the CIPer50 comes in two different models. You can get one that has the display on the screen, and you can get the one that doesn't have the display on it. The one that doesn't have the display does have a Ethernet jack that's on the front of it. It is not a typical Ethernet jack that's for IP base or getting onto the internet. Is what they're called their human machine interface jack, and you can buy the display separately and mount it to the front of your panels, or you can basically use it as a handheld tool to be able to get into your system without having to go through Workbench or through the web to make adjustments to your system. They both operate the same. Like I said, it's just one is basically a handheld, and the other one is comes on the display, on the controller itself. So today I'm gonna be showing you how to set that up. So if you get the one that has the display on it, it will come lit up, but it is not going to be functioning. So if you push any of the buttons on the display, it won't do anything until actually get it set up. So the first thing you would have to do is you would open up your palette, and you would type in Honeywell, or HON. And what you want to use is this Honeywell Eaglehawk HMI is what you're going to use to set up the configuration of that system. So with this, the first thing we want to do is we're going to take this services right here, and you're just going to drop it into your services folder. At this point in time, you can rename it if you want, but typically I just leave it the default name. And once you add your services, you need to double click on it and enable it. So once you enable the display, at this point in time, if you touch any of the buttons on the display, the first thing it will do is it's going to ask you for a password. There is no default password for the display. What it's looking at that time is your user services. So any usernames that you have in the user services is going to be looking at those. The one thing is it does not use the same password for each one of your usernames you have in your system. What it looks for is a 5-digit numeric number. You can get to it in two different ways. Under your user services folder, you can expand the username, and now you're going to have this new file here for Honeywell Eagle Hawk HMI Authenticator. So you can click here and it's gonna ask you for that pin. So if you expand pin configuration, you can actually put in a generic pin number and then force your user to change it when they first go to log in through the interface. So for right now, the PIN number could be anything as long as it's 5 digits. You can do all ones, twos, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or whatever makes sense for you at that time. And then you would just hit save. I've already used that password, so that's 98765, and then hit save. So if you have used the password already and you need to reset it, it won't let you reuse that same password if it's been used already before. Just like any of the other your usernames, you can set in a auto log off period for if the display haven't been touched after 10 minutes, then it automatically logs off. So the other way that you can get to it as well is in your user services, AX User Manager. When you click on that user and you scroll all the way down, of course it wouldn't do that today. Give me 1 minute. Just double click on it and then scroll down to the bottom and it's there as well. So what I found is on the AX property sheet, it shows up here. But if I try to right click on services and then go to the AX user manager and then click on a user and I scroll down to the bottom, it's not there. So that's one of the deals you have to look out for when you're trying to set this up. So once you get this set up, one of the other deals is you can route alarms to your display and select the alarm manager on the display to look at it, but that has to be set up as well. So we would come here, right click on alarm services, go to alarm sheet, and then here we have HMI alarm console receipt. We would just take and drag that out, hit OK. And then you would link this just like your other alarm consoles. So now any of your alarms, default alarms or whatever alarm classes that you decide to set up, if you route it to that display, you can look at the alarms through the display. Now, since I do have 2 different alarm consoles here, if I acknowledge them through the HMI and I go back to my alarm console in Workbench under the whichever other ones that I set up, it's not going to be acknowledged in there. So it's 2 different spots where it would have to be acknowledged. So typically, if I'm doing this and I'm in a room, I will basically set up a different class for critical alarms and only have those critical alarms to show on the display as opposed to trying to show all alarms that I have in the system. So now that we have those 2 set up, then if we go into alarm, if we double click back on here, we have 2 different messages here. Honeywell just took and threw in this default one right here. So you can type in whatever warning message that you want, and that warning message shows up when they first log into the system. It gives them a quick warning message, and then it brings them into the interface. So typically, Honeywell recommend the warning message that you give is if you do any type of overrides through the HMI interface, it overrides it at a priority 8. So you can put that message in there, basically telling them where, if they do any overrides, where it's gonna, how it's gonna override the system. And then there's a welcome message that you can actually put in there as well. Your company name, building name, or anything like that, is once they get logged into the system as well, a quick message will show up and then disappear. So under here also you have your home tab, which you have a couple of different options here: fast access list, alarms. You also have a general tab that have stuff in there, and then you have your login user information as well. Most of this stuff here is basically to help you target where your alarms are going to be. Like for here, your drop down menu, I'm sorry. So these menus right here is you can actually select some predefined icons that Honeywell have for that you see on the HMI interface. So getting started with setting this up, the fast access list is what it does is every everything that you have in your system at that time, which is, I threw some stuff in here where I have a AHU1 and then 4 VAV controllers. The fast access list is what you would use to set that up, to pull that stuff in. So typically what I do is I don't use their fast access list. So I delete this, and then I take and drag in a menu of my own. Give me 1 minute. And then with that menu, I'm sorry, I rename it to data points. With the HMI display, you can actually use spaces in here as where, instead of using underscores, but you basically name it however you want to name it. So with my data points here, if you have more than one floor, you can actually take and just drag another menu in here and drop it. And then I can name this as floor 1. And then under floor 1s, then I would take and put in my fast access list at that time. And that would be HU1. And you can also right click, duplicate, and then VAV1. So now that I have these two right here, if I take and double click on them, they bring me into this. I have some parts that I had already set up. So these are the parts here that I actually want to see when I access this list. And the way there's 2 ways you can go about it. I can click right here where I say add objects, and then go to my backnet, and then under air handler 1, and then under parts, then I can select which one that I want. So from doing it this way, you can't select more than one. You would have to do one at a time. And then you would hit the OK button to add those in. Or you can actually come down here to the parts themselves, And I can take these, remove these objects, and then I can come back to here and basically come in here. And if I wanted to see them all, I would drag these, and there's all my parts right there. So also in data points, if I want to keep everything together, if I go in here under general, they have a deal in here already set up for parts and manual. I want to keep that in my data folder. I'm sorry, I want to keep that in my alarms folder. So I can actually take this menu and move it over to my alarm folder. So now I have under my alarm menu, I can go in and look at any of the parts that I have in alarm and any parts that I have in manual at that time. Station parts is basically all the parts that you have in your station at that time, whether if I pulled it into this quick menu or anything like that. So typically I don't want that much information in there, only what I want them to see. So typically I will go in and just delete that. And then it's basically the same thing for VAV controllers as well. So, do anybody have any questions so far? All right.
Actually, I do have one question. Is there a way to bypass the user PIN so they don't have to log in if it's in a secure area where we're not worried about someone unauthorized getting access to it?
No, unfortunately, there is no way of bypassing it for the display. The display would always ask you for that password. Let's see here. Yeah, there's no way unless you basically go in and log in the first time and then change this to some hours or like 99999, just put all of that in there. But yeah, as far as I know of, there is no way of being able to bypass this.
Roger.
So with this as well, it doesn't just have to be any of your backnet parts. If you're doing LAN or any type of network, any of those parts can be pulled in. I don't have my actual CIPer 50 with me today to kind of show you guys what it would look like. But once you, like I say, once you get this set up, the menus is basically how you want it to be set up, especially pulling in your data parts, looking at parts and manual. Got that twice. Parts and manual, what parts are in alarm, if there's any other stuff. So if you do have different classes of alarms set up, you can change that to where you have one set up for where it shows just temperature alarms, You can put up another one that shows where you have critical alarms, or however you want it to be set up. And then general information, that's just if what you want to see on there. Controller information, once you click on it on the display, it gives you which version of Niagara is installed on your system at the time, and then basically just any other type of controller information, IP addresses, things like that nature. Clicking on anything from here and on the system, if you click on them, it doesn't show you any data. But if you made any changes through your HMI interface and you went back to your graphic here, it will show up as that the part is in override at priority 8. One of the things you have to look out for as well is it's kind of a built-in safety feature. If you have gone into the system and you have overridden the that part higher than priority 8, so and then you go back to the HMI interface and try to change it there, what's going to wind up happening is it's going to try to change it, and then but your system is already overwritten at a higher priority. It will disappear from your screen, and then it would show back up, and then but it's not going to be in the overwritten feature that you had it in before. And that is a it's not a bug or anything like that, but it is a feature that is built into the interface to kind of let you know that it's overridden higher from your front end than what you're trying to do from your HMI interface. Let's see here. So I'm gonna read the note to you guys correctly. So if a commandable parent is operating with a higher priority than level 8, priorities 1 through 7, and a user attempts to command it via the HMI display, which is a priority level 8 command, the HMI command will not process and the display will be unresponsive for 1 minute. Then it will return to the previous menu. So that's basically what it's going to do. And like I say, Honeywell has stated that that's not a bug. It is a feature to kind of help you identify that it is overwritten higher than what you're trying to do. With the HMI as well, unfortunately, you cannot do any type of graphics with it or anything like that. So it is not capable of doing any of that. I know in the past that I was told that they were looking at being able to allow you to put a small file on there that may show like your company logo or something like that, but I haven't seen that feature yet, and haven't found that in the system or anything like that. So if you're using the CIPer50s and you have the display, this is a good deal to have set up for quick use, especially if you're using it for an air handling unit and you need to do some testing, or you need to check some stuff, or you may be in a position where you cannot get back to your front end, but you need to turn the unit off, or you need to close a damper or something like that. Then you if this is set up through here, then you can actually, this is actually pretty useful, even for VAVs if you think you're having an issue. It's a quick tool to be able to override something, but also have the ability to know when it was overwritten. And so it will still register in your audit log that it was that part was overwritten, and it will show up as your HMI, the EagleHawk interface is the one that overwritten it, and it'll show which username actually overwrote the part at that time. So this one is pretty short today. If anybody has any more questions or anything like that, we're pretty much hitting the 30-minute mark. Just feel free to ask. If you don't have any questions and then you have some a little bit later, I can stick my, get back to it here. I'll put my username in the comments here.
Hey, Damon, I have one real quick, if you can hear me.
Yes.
This is Daryl with Lamonier. On when you were doing the data points, you added air handler 1, did you say you have to add each point through the add objects, or was there, sorry, I was trying to get mine caught up to where you were at and I missed something there.
No, so yes, and if you double click on, give me 1 minute, I'll go back to it. So if I go back to here, and if I try to add, so basically if I deleted this object right here, and then I go and I try to add objects from here, and then go back to air handler 1. And then I try to add this, and then I try to hold down my shift key or my control key to add another one. Even if I try to drag it, it won't let me select more than just that one.
Okay, that's what I was seeing. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't a different way of doing it.
So yeah, I mean, if you only have a few that you know that you want to put in there, then it's fine that way. But I just find it easier if I just go down here to here, and then just select all the ones that I want, and then take it and drag it over to this that window. Then it adds them all at one time, as opposed to me trying to add them one at a time.
Okay, that was the part I missed, because when I tried to do that, I think I tried to add all the points.
Yeah, so so like I said, if I delete this.
Yeah, so if you just go over to the points folder and drag them over, it works. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So the only catch is you have to make sure you double click on either which ones you added.
Right.
Yeah. And then once you get down to here, then I can select more than one.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that was
and then just take
exactly
and
what I
drag them over
missed.
there, and they're all there. So.
It would have taken me hours to add.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, Damon, this is Joseph. Hey, I missed the first maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. Do you think you can, I see you're recording, do you think you can, or when about do you plan on sending that out to people?
I can get with Jeff on it, or I can go back over it with you separately if you want, but it was typically real easy. Once you add your services here, at the Honeywell EagleHawk HMI services under your services folder, First thing you want to do is double click on it. You want to hit true, because even if you add everything, you can add everything to the system first, get it all set up how you want it to be. But if you don't enable it, it's not gonna, the display on the front of it won't be enabled. So you can push the buttons all day and it won't do anything. As soon as you hit enable, the first thing it's gonna do, and if you push any of the buttons, it's gonna ask you for a password. So that password is not gonna be a, it's gonna use the same usernames that you put in the system, but it's a different password. And like I said, under user services is gonna add this HMI, the HMI authenticator, and then you can double click on that, add your PIN, or you can double click on the name itself and then scroll down to the bottom and it's there. It's just if you right click on user services and go to AX user manager and then double click on it there and scroll down, that HMI authenticator is not going to show up there. So you can't do it from here.
So you have to use the N4 user service view.
Yes, so and setting up the password is a five digit numeric characters. It can be any combination of numbers that you want it to be. And then you can, just like any user, again, you can go in there, put in a default one, and then when that person first logs in, you can actually force them to change their password, and then that way they can put in their own code. So,
And they're,
if you like me,
I was just gonna say, and their permissions, it will still fall under depending on what their role is for that user, right? Like if
yes. Well, this is completely separate from your workbench authentication and the roles that you put in there. This one right here is not going to follow any roles. So whatever information that you put on there for them to be able to see is what they'll be able to get to.
Gotcha.
All right, any more questions?
I saw something, I'm sorry, real quick, that
No, go ahead.
you used a menu folder instead of something else, right?
So yes, so if you're gonna add your data points and stuff like that, they have a menu that's already set up, but it's kind of like a default deal. But any one of these menus, you can actually go back in and you can set them up any type of way you want it to be. So if I came in here under home, I can delete all of these menus in here and then go back and start setting them up the way I want them to be. So, so the menu that was there initially, let me find what that was. The menu that was there before was called Fast Access List. So I deleted that one and then went in with a new one, and basically I just created a folder that when you click on the display, it's going to come up as data points. And then if you have more than one floor, but if you're only using it for an air handler, then you can just take and just put the name of the air handler there and then drop whatever points you want to be able to either view from it or command and do overrides from. So this display is basically technically left up to however you want it to be set up.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, any more questions?
One quick one, can you add Niagara points from your Niagara network into this as well, not just your backend? You said lawn. Will the Niagara Niagara points, would you be able to display them on the?
Yeah, it's just any points that you
Anything.
that you want to bring in.
Okay.
So if it's coming through your Niagara network, you can still grab those points and put them in onto this display.
Nice. Nice to know. Thanks.
So right now, for the CIPer50s, if everybody know, you can install up to, typically it comes with version, well, I can't say it comes with version 4.4, but typically you commission it in the past with 4.4. They came out with a patch for 4.7, and then 4.8 came with everything on it. They have released Webs 4.9, but as of right now, 4.9 and the CIPer50s and the CIPer30s are not compatible with Webs 4.9 right now. Even if you install it or go to do the update on a Jace, one of the deals I saw yesterday is you would have to clean this that Jace and then install 4.9. If you go in and try to just do the update will fail. So as of right now, you would have to stay with, don't go no higher than 4.8 with the CIPer50s. The licensing itself will go up to 4.9 if you can upgrade it to 4.9, but don't install the 4.9 software on it just yet. They have some issues with it that they're going to come out with a patch sometime here in the near future. So I don't have a deadline on that yet. As soon as I know, then I can let everybody else know.